Welcome to Chamber Chat. I'm Judy Taylor, President of the Habersham County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us today. My guests are Craig Stoudt, CEO of Scovill, the Member of the Month, and State Representative Terry Rogers, who will be talking about the 2014 legislative session. And my first guest is Craig Stoudt. Welcome, Craig.
Thanks, Judy. Pleased to be here.
Well, I just really appreciate your being a guest on Chamber Chat today.
I'm glad to be here.
And Craig, Scovill is just an icon in this community. We have just been very blessed to have had Scovill for all the years that Scovill has been here in Habersham County, actually in Clarksville, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Tell me something. Was the first Scovill plant ever founded in, is that it? Was it in Habersham County?
No, actually our company has a very long history. It's actually 212 years old this year. And we began as a button foundry in New England in 1802. And the original company was acquired by the Scovill brothers a few years after they started. And from that point forward, the company diversified in the fastener business and has had long-standing customer and industrial relationships for that time. Our facility here in Clarksville was established in the early to mid 1950s. So we're here almost 60 years. Mm-hmm. And it today is our global headquarters. The company, through its various evolving, eventually moved out of its New England home, relocated its equipment, and moved some folks down here in the 1990s. And so this is our home now, singularly, for around the world as a headquarters. And we no longer have any facilities or production routes in New England. But we go back over 200 years as a company.
That is interesting. I'm so glad that you all moved here from New England. And Craig, I've got to tell you that when I called your plant and I hear them say, Scovill Fasteners Global Headquarters, I just get a thrill because every time I think right here in Habersham County, we have a global headquarters right here, and we love it. But let's talk about the types of markets that your various facilities service.
Sure.
Tell us about your products and your markets.
Sure, gladly. Our company is really diversified for two market segments. The larger part of our company is the apparel industry that we serve. And these would be either retailers or retailer brands that you and your viewers would know quite well. And these are fastener products that are either to hold your pants up, mm-hmm. or accessory items on your garments. And so these are again well-known brands such as Kohl's brands, Penny's brands, Walmart brands, the Gap, and the like. Mm-hmm. And we've had many of these relationships for years and years and years. And the other part of our company, which is actually the bigger part of what we produce and distribute for out of here in Clarksville, is for specialty markets. And these would be for more industrial or specialty verticals, such as medical, the military, mm-hmm. sporting goods, marine applications, for distribution purposes, mm-hmm. to smaller consumers. And we've had this business for many years. Mm-hmm. And again, as in the apparel segment, customers in this segment for many years.
Well, Craig, as you know, for any company to have stayed around for over 200 years, you have had to change with the times, and you have had to reinvent yourself. Mm-hmm. How has Scovill reinvented itself over time as far as its products go?
Sure.
Because did Scovill once make zippers?
We did. We did make zippers here, and That was in the 1990s and 1980s and 1990s. And that was a business that was sold off as Scovill went through some transition. Today we still sell products that are zippers. We don't make them here. We sell them through a contracting relationship in Asia. But we have some familiarity with that business. We sure do. Our products have evolved as our customers have evolved. And what I mean by that is we've gone through a process where, in looking at how we manufacture and how we design, we try and help our customers meet their needs, like any, I would think, good business tries to do. In the apparel business, by illustration, in the apparel business, it used to be short, very long seasons. There were only maybe 2 seasons in a year. Long production runs, a lot easier to do. Nowadays, the way the industry has evolved, each retailer wants its own look, and they want their own logo and a particular type of finish to the product. There are more seasons in a year. There may be 6 or 7 selling seasons in a year, and so what we're forced to do is be more agile in our production process. They're not nice long runs anymore. They're shorter runs with quicker turns. We have to be more efficient. We've invested resources on the design end, where we actually sit down with our customers' designers and help them try and achieve a certain look that they might want to have. From an investment standpoint, we've invested a lot of money here in Clarksville into upgrading our finishing and plating equipment.
I'm also sure that once upon a time, 200 years ago, whenever, a lot of the work was just done with manual labor, and now I'm sure technology has upgraded all that. That a lot of it's done by technology, where it used to be labor.
Right, we have. We continue to invest in our business, and that's both in equipment and in people. And you know, I used it as an example in the apparel side of our business, but we've also invested for our specialty side of the business as well, because those customers have specific engineering tolerances and things that they're requiring that we need to be able to address.
Craig, I cannot believe it, but our time is up. I would love to talk with you longer, and I would love for our audience to hear more about Scovill. But is there anything else you would just like for the audience to know about Scovill?
Just that, first again, thank you for your interest in our company and having me here today. We're thrilled to be part of the Clarksville community for almost 60 years and look forward to the next 60 years. And I thank you very much for, again, your interest in our company.
Well, we appreciate you, appreciate Scovill being such a supportive chamber member, and thank you again. Please stay with us. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be right back with the Member of the Month.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That changed my life.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. We're soldiers, always ready to protect our country. But we've also got communities. Family, friends, neighbors who count on us. I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life. Somebody from my hometown.
See what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com. Hear from your doctors at Chestatee Regional Hospital.
Any community that's growing like this community is needs a good medical facility for people to go to.
We have an exceptional level of medical and surgical proficiencies in the area.
You're going to get the same care here you would anywhere in the country.
Chestatee does offer a very personal touch, and I think that's one of the greatest assets of the hospital.
And it should be supported to help keep the community going.
Thank you for staying with us, and our next guest is Jimie Yearwood, owner of Yearwood Plumbing and the Chamber's April Member of the Month. Welcome, Jimie.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate your being on Chamber Chat, and congratulations on being the Member of the Month.
Thank you, Sir Lana.
And Jimie, during our recent snows, when everything was pretty well paralyzed as far as work was concerned and getting around from place to place. I saw you and I said, how are things going? And you said, wide open. I think you pretty well worked around the clock. Tell us about what your schedule was like during that time.
Well, I just get out early in the morning and go. We'd be out by 7:30, and we'd work till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, trying to get it, as many customers as we could. Of course, we turned down a lot, but you can only do so much.
That's right.
It took me about 2 weeks. That's all I did for 2 weeks was just fix broke pipes.
So it was a bad thing, but it was good for your business.
It's good for my business. I had stuff scheduled, but the emergencies like that have to come first. So.
Right. Well, Jimie, tell us about your plumbing business, because Yearwood Plumbing has been around for a while. Did you start it? If you did, when did you start it?
I did. I apprenticed under a plumber in Toccoa. I worked for him till I got my license, and I stayed with him about 5 years after that, and then branched out on my own in 1998, and just started small, real small, and just grew and grew. We were before the recession come along, we were up to 4 trucks. Had 6 employees, and now we're just back down to me and the helper. But I'm in a position now; things are opening back up.
And that's good news too. I can see that is beginning to happen.
Yep.
And I am seeing that things are beginning to open up. And, something I wonder about, Jimie, is you said you apprenticed under someone in Toccoa.
Right.
And plumbing is something that we will always need, and yet you can't go to most places and take classes in plumbing. So what would a young person these days, where would they learn the skill?
On the job is the best place, and that's what I did. You've got to have a 3-year apprenticeship to be able to go take a journeyman's test, which means you're a licensed plumber, but you can't operate your own business. And on the job is the best training you're going to get. Of course, you'll take a code book and do some book training, while you're working.
Right.
And even times you do your studying, because there's a test you have to take. And once you get your journeyman's, you've got to hold that for 2 years and work for somebody. And after a 2-year period, you can go take your master's test. And a master's means that you can operate your own business.
And that is so interesting, because unless people like you will apprentice someone, then there's not much chance of more plumbers coming along.
Right. And I would, in my position, I prefer to have somebody that doesn't know anything, a young person that wants to do it, that's willing to work, have them come in and say, look, I want to work, I don't know anything. That's great. I mean, they don't have any bad habits.
Right. You don't have to unlearn them before you can learn, before you can teach.
Exactly. Teach them the way it needs to be done, teach them right, and it's just a whole lot easier that way.
Well, tell us, do you do both the residential and commercial?
I do. I focus mainly on residential. I love new construction residential. I do some small commercial. I'm a master plumber restricted, which means I'm limited on the square footage of commercial properties that I can work on.
I know you keep us going there at the chamber. We call you regularly because we're always needing your help, and you're always right there too, Jimie.
I try to. Can't always get to everybody right away, but I try to get people that prioritize, and get the important stuff. I hate people to be without water, without hot water.
Right.
So we try to take care of that as quick as we can.
Well, we really appreciate what you do for the chamber and for the community, because you have that attitude toward the whole community. And there are not that many plumbers around. There are a few others, but there are not that many. What do you enjoy most about your job? Because you seem to enjoy it.
I do. I've been doing it 25 years, but I don't get up in the morning saying, "Oh, I hate going to work." I enjoy my job. Meeting new people, of course, is always good. To me, it's especially new construction. It's just like playing with Legos. It's just a big puzzle. It's kind of the same on every house, but every house is different. So it's just a challenge, and it's not the same old routine every day. So it's interesting.
We do have a few other plumbers in this community, but what do you think sets you apart from the other businesses?
One thing that has helped me in my business, I believe, is that I treat every job as if it was my house. So I do everything 100% top of the line, or I'm not going to do it. being on time is very important to me. I hear that a lot from my customers that, I called so-and-so and they didn't never show up. You were here when you said you were going to be. So that's very important to me. It keeps my customers happy.
Yes, and I can verify that too, because
I hear that a lot. That I'm so glad you were here on time. You did what you said you were going to do, and that just starts the job off right.
It does. But tell us, Jimie, how has your business changed over the years that you have been in there? Because I know that there's been a lot of changes.
Yeah, it's with the economy, of course, over the last 4 or 5 years, that's been a huge. I started out and things just went straight up right out of the gate. And for me as a young person, I didn't know any different. So then when things did slow down, now that
in about 2008,
that was a shock. That was a big shock when you're loaded up with people and trucks and payments, and then all of a sudden you've got no work. That's been the big change for me. But it was a good learning experience.
I'm sure it was. But you survived it.
I did
Jimie.
survive it.
So you had some good management skills because you have survived it,
Right.
and things are beginning to come back a little bit.
They are coming back.
So what emerging trends do you see in home construction now that will affect your job?
Well, it's just, we did a lot of remodeling. When the new construction slowed down, people couldn't get loans for new homes, they added on.
That's right.
You did a lot of remodels. The new construction's coming back. So it's just, and watching the different type of plumbing fixtures and things that people, the new stuff that comes out,
stuff,
electronic stuff that's coming out is different.
Well, now, different businesses will advertise kind of like do-it-yourself plumbing, do-it-yourself projects, this kind of stuff. Tell us about that. What are your tips on that?
Be careful what you try to attempt in the plumbing business. Working on faucets, repairing leaky faucets and leaky toilets. Some of that customers can do on their own, but when it gets into water heaters, things like that, you really need to let a professional do that, because there are some safety issues there that a homeowner won't know about, and it may not be an issue for a while, but there are some health hazards, especially with gas water heaters, that a homeowner just won't know, have the slightest idea. So things like that, you really need to let professionals handle.
Yes, I am sure that you do. Tell us, Jimie, do you have to take special classes ever so often to keep your license? Do you have to take continuing education classes?
We do. We have, for certification, we've got to have 4 hours continued education every year.
Oh, do you?
Keep a record of that, and that's got to be, something to do with the trade, or as a master plumber, it can be business related. But that 4 hours, half a day, so it's not that big a deal, but we do try. I try to stay up with all the amendments to the code book every year to stay on top of everything, make sure I'm doing everything right.
Right. Well, Jimie, our time is up, but thank you for being on Chamber Chat, and congratulations again on being Member of the Month.
Thank y'all very much.
And please stay with us. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be right back with Representative Terry Rogers.
No matter what the occasion or how big the achievement, everyone deserves an award. Look no further than Bob and Ted's Trophy in Clarksville. Trophies, medals, plaques, and more. It's what you need when you need it. Family owned and operated since 1974, Bob and Ted's has been rewarding the community for nearly 40 years, offering quality service at competitive pricing, all done with a speedy turnaround. Get what you need when you need it.
At Windstream, we're offering our customers a new feature, Watch TV Everywhere. Now you can watch available episodes of favorite shows, movies, and live news and sports on tablets, smartphones, and laptops. There's no extra charge from Windstream. You only need to be a cable customer already receiving a Wind package. It's simple to get started. Just visit WatchTVEverywhere.com. So enjoy, and thanks for being our customer.
We're an internet that's faster than kids eating their vegetables so they can have dessert provider. Get Windstream's fastest internet speed for one low price. We're a watch in this room, that room, or any room provider. Whole home entertainment, powered by Windstream high-speed internet.
I realized at that moment,
these people really needed us. And I was going to make a difference right here in my community.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
Thank you for staying with us. Our last guest today is State Representative Terry Rogers. Welcome, Terry.
Glad to be here, Judy.
Thank you for being on Chamber Chat. And Terry, you have just finished a fast, and I guess I could say fast and furious legislative session. And our audience, as you tour around, I know you know that people are interested in economic development, job creation, and what that session did for Georgia. Can you address that?
Yeah, number one priority is that people talk about is job creation, economic development, and what we can do to get back on track. And the good news is that we're really back on track in a lot of different ways. If you look at the unemployment numbers for the state of Georgia, unemployment is down lower than what it's been in the last 4 years.
That's good.
I know, I represent Habersham and White County. Both Habersham and White unemployment numbers are below the state average. So that's a good thing. But we put a lot of good things into place. Main thing that I think that we did is that we put some tax credits into place to make certain that we retain business. The hardest customer to get is one that you lost. We wanted to make certain that we keep the people that we have. So we put some tax credits back into place. We put some money into the Department of Community Health to go out and Department of Community Affairs to go out and look at things. And we did a lot of exploring for new options. One of the things that I'm very excited about, and we talked about it at Habersham County Day, was filmmaking in North Georgia, tourism in North Georgia, and recreation. And I think that's a wide open field for jobs here.
Well, we're particularly interested in it up here in Habersham County.
Absolutely.
Because we had one big movie filmed here, and we are hoping to have some more. We hope we're on the radar screen, and you put us in touch with some scouts.
Well, we've got some good people. I was very fortunate that Misty Holcomb from McGuire & Woods is a good friend of mine, and she represents a lot of the film industry. And, on Habersham County Day, Chris came over from Screen Gems and talked about it and talked about the scouts. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to make certain that the scouts know that Habersham County and North Georgia is on the radar screen.
Well, we hope so. That's interesting to all of us. And, Terry, you serve as Majority Deputy Whip for the House.
I do.
Tell our audience exactly what that means. I don't know exactly what you do because you are the Majority Whip.
Well, I'm not the Majority Whip. I'm one of the Deputy Whips.
Okay.
But what happens is you have a chain of leadership, of course, starting with the Speaker of the House. Then you have a Speaker Pro Tem, and then we have a Majority Leader and a Majority Whip. Majority Whip is responsible for making certain that people are up to date on legislation, kind of knowing where people are as far as the legislative vote goes, things of that nature. And then he has picked deputy whips to handle a certain segment. I have a certain number of people that I'm responsible for that make certain that they know, okay, do you have any questions about this legislation? What bothers you about this legislation? And then on occasion, where the word whip comes from is that we will whip them. There may be a bill that's coming up that we're not certain how it's going to go. And I'll go to my people and say, okay, here's where you are right now. Yes, no, and undecided. And if this bill was to come to the House floor today, where would you be? Then we could kind of get a handle. This bill will pass, this bill will not pass, or whatever. And it's very important to know this because it may be some important legislation that needs to be tweaked, and we'll hear that when we're talking with people. Or it could be that it's just a dead-in-the-water thing, and why should we even bring it up? Let's move on to the next thing.
Right. I have heard that a good legislator never brings a bill for a vote until he's pretty sure it's going to pass.
We've had some situations that have come up, and it's kind of interesting sometimes when you hear when you go back to someone and say, guys, this thing is not going to fly. And the guy says, well, I want to push it anyway. And I was like, well, you're going to sit there and you're going to watch the whole board go red because it's not a good thing. But, sometimes they have a point to make.
Yes, okay. But anyway, Terry, what committees do you serve on? I know you serve on several.
Well, probably the most important committee that I have right now is just appointed to the Public Safety Subcommittee for Appropriations. And anytime you get into appropriations where you're dealing with the money, the Speaker was gracious enough to put me on there this year. It has been a great learning experience. I have a tremendous chairman in Jay Powell, who I've learned so much from. I also serve on Human Relations and Aging, Defense and Veterans Affairs, and then the biggie for me is Economic Development and Tourism.
Good. We're glad you're on that one.
Yeah,
too.
I'm excited about that one.
We're glad that you're on Economic Development and Tourism because this community here, we're all about tourism. Our economic development pretty well is tourism.
In a lot of ways it is. You have recreation, you have tourism, you have a lot of agritourism with the wineries and things of this nature. And that's one of the things that you'll be seeing. Now, with the North Georgia Broadband Project coming in and things of that nature, you may start to see some more technical aspect, but we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, we're looking forward to that. Now, Terry, you had a big honor this year. Every year, Georgia Trend magazine names the 100 most influential Georgians, and you were on that list for 2014. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. It was actually it was a good day for Habersham County. Of the 100 that were on the list, 3 of them were from Habersham County. Governor Deal, and then Commissioner Bubba McDonald and myself, and then Barbara Brown Taylor received a notable award. So out of 159 counties, for us to have 4 people get recognized, that's pretty doggone strong. So
it is.
I was surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think it's a very deserving award that you got, and we're just happy to see you on there.
Well, I appreciate that. I think, awards are something that I kind of operate off of the Bob Woodruff from Coca-Cola philosophy. It really doesn't matter who gets the credit. You can get the job done if you just roll up your sleeves and go to work.
Well, that's a good attitude to have, too. And, Terry, you're not opposed.
That's a good thing,
Yes,
in my opinion.
Good thing. But you are not opposed in this upcoming election. So how do you spend your time when you're not actively involved in a legislative session? Because the sessions go on for about 3 to 4 months, about 3 months.
Right.
And so what do you do when you're not in a legislative session?
Well, there's all kinds of things that's going on. I'm on a couple of committees that the governor and the speaker have appointed me to that I'll be in Atlanta for. But then my main thing is constituent service. That's, anybody can go down and pass legislation or push legislation or whatever. But my big thing is I feel like I can be most effective by helping people cut through the red tape and the bureaucracy. So I'm constantly talking with people. I'm trying to get them in touch with the right people. We have a lot of DFACS things. We have a lot of labor things. Lately, because of some of the changes made to the insurance programs, we've spent a lot of time with the Department of Community Health. But that's my big thing right there, is that I like being able to help people cut through the maze and solve their problems.
Well, we appreciate that, too, very much. You are actually on the job 12 months a year. Pretty well.
Yeah, I probably average somewhere around 30 hours a week doing the job full time when I'm not in session. So.
Right. So, if I needed something in next November or December, I would pick up the phone and call you.
Well, I would hope so.
I would. Oh, goodness. Terry, I can't believe it. Our time is up, but thank you so much for being on Chamber Chat, and thank you for all the work you do for this community.
Well, thank you for what the Chamber does, Judy. I appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your saying that, Terry. And I usually end with a quote. And my quote today is inspired by Terry and all the others who give so much of their time to public service. And it is a quote by Albert Einstein. And it says, "Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile." Thank you for joining us, and I will see you next time.